All right, so I figured out what's wrong with us, everybody, and that includes me. I figured out what's stopping people, and I figured out what's holding people back from their full potential. And I'm actually going to read you guys a scripture, and I don't normally do this. Not a lot of people even know that I have a spiritual life, but I'm going to read you guys out of the Bible, Revelation 3:16. And this is a very harsh scripture, but I think this is very important. I know your deeds, that you are neither cold nor hot. I wish you were one or the other. So because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I am to spit you out of my mouth. And obviously, that's a very intense scripture there, but I want to hang on the idea of you are neither hot nor cold, lukewarm. Okay. I've kind of been on this idea the last couple of videos of commitment and conviction. Okay. And I think that there's such a big message within this because we're so distracted right now. Okay. And I talked about this again in the last video where I was showing some of my old videos and some of the progression that I've made, that I stuck with that for 10 years. 10 years that I edited videos, 10 years that I've been riding, 8 years before I got my first opportunity on the bike, and 5 years before I got my first opportunity editing. And one thing I will say, full transparency, I did not deserve that opportunity. I was not ready for it. I was not qualified. Yeah, I got myself in the door because of my mouth and my commitment and my promises, but my skills were not ready for that opportunity. Okay. So I would say, extend whatever opportunity that I had with my camera even out longer. So 8 years for the first sponsor on the bike. And, I don't know, I started my business and started making six figures within my business 10 years later. So let's just stay there. So many of us are getting distracted right now by finish line syndrome. So we get into something because of the results that we can get out of it. Okay. But when you only attach yourself to the results, there's no pull to the thing. Because one thing I will say is anything worth it is going to be a long, difficult journey. Maybe you might be the person that's very good at it and you might get results very quickly. But for the average person, we're talking 10,000 hours. Okay. And let me look up exactly how long that is if you worked a certain hour day. So 10,000 hours is 416 days. And that's with 24-hour days. So how long does it really take? And obviously everybody's work day is going to be different. How much time you're going to put into something is going to be different. But that is a long time to say you're going to master something. And so if you're only attached to the results, and there's very few people that can do this, that only thing they care about is the end result, and they can stick through all the shit that's going to come throughout the journey, right? All the hiccups that I had, the accident, no bike multiple times, running through bikes because I'm wrecking them, all these things. Like, if I only cared about the result, which for stunt riding, there is not much result. Like, the skill set's the result, fine. There's opportunities beyond that, yeah, but those opportunities weren't my specific focus, right? I just wanted to be good at what I was doing. I didn't have long-term vision, which I wish I would have had, and that's a conversation for another day. But I wish I would have had long-term vision to be maybe doing some stunts in some movies or something like that, to be getting paid, for other riding opportunities. I didn't have that long-term vision. So the only thing I cared about was being good, but I was so passionate about it, and I loved figuring it out. Like, I truly loved figuring out the skill set. But if you're only attached to results, imagine all you want to do is be able to wheelie, and you go through what I went through. Accident, jail, court case for 2 years, fines, community service. Imagine you go through that and all you care about is the end. I don't think you're going to be able to hang on. So in order to get something, you must be committed. You must be all in. Okay, this idea of the scripture lukewarm means that you're just on the fence. And with scripture, you're either on this side or you're on that side. And when you're on the fence, you're on that side. If you're on the fence, you're not on the good side. You're on the bad side. So think of that in your journey. Okay. And oftentimes people like us, people that think the way that we think, we're called extreme. We say that we're doing too much. Why you got to go that far? Why do you have to be, like that? Why do you got to get up so early? Why do you have to do all these things? Like, when you compare yourself or you're in an environment with average people say that people that are committed to something are extreme, okay? And let me even look up commitment definition. The state or quality of being dedicated to a cause or activity, okay? The state or quality of being dedicated to a cause, okay? Now, I am dedicated to the things that I want in my life. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, okay? A lot of people get caught up in, I'm willing to do what I want to get the thing. I don't do what I want. I do what's required. If it requires me doing more than I want to do, then that's what I do. I'm detached from whatever it is that I'm feeling or that I want out of this thing. I focus on the thing that I want and I do what's required. And sometimes that can look to a regular person like you're doing too much, like you're being too extreme. And an example I want to use is my diet. I battled a lot of stomach issues for a very long time, so my diet became very strict. And it wasn't something that I necessarily wanted to do, but it started to align with my goals, right? Before motorcycles, I loved bodybuilding. I was like, man, I would love to be a bodybuilder. Well, this is the kind of stuff that they do. And as I saw that I got more strict with my diet and I was more conscious of what I was eating, my stomach issues started to subside. I'm like, okay, wow, this is the way to live. Well, then when I go to family functions and family events and barbecues and all this kind of things, I'm not eating. Or if I am eating, I'm eating very little because I'm eating what I can, or I'm bringing my own food. And this kind of became like a joke in my family. And everyone's like, oh, Nate only eats chicken and broccoli. And it's like funny. And it's like, but this gets me the results I want. So why is it funny? And my wife and I have this conversation all the time about how the good thing is generally made fun of. As parents, we're very conscious of what we feed our kids. And again, we'll go places and people will be like, oh, Jet can't eat this because it's got this in it. And it's like, but this is the better option. So if you guys kind of see where I'm getting at, when you place yourself in environments with average people that don't have extraordinary vision, you're going to get this kind of like these little jabs. And I wouldn't necessarily call it hate, because people don't understand excellence. When their mind is so small and they can't even think bigger than their current situation, they don't understand what you're talking about. They don't understand why you're thinking this. They don't understand why your vision is so big. And don't get them to understand. Just show them why it's all worth it. And just to kind of sum this all up, I want you to get out of dabbling. This is what people are doing right now. I kind of am doing this. I'm doing that. And I'm a victim of this as well. Everything that I talk to you guys about is something that I've either been through or something that I'm going through currently. I have my business. I have my own content that I've been putting on the back burner. I have day trading, which I've been doing, but I'm not fully in it. I'm dabbling in it because of all the other things I have going on. I have so many irons in the fire, they say, that none of them are fully catching, right? I'm making six figures, but in 2024, if you can do content, this is a very easy thing to make six figures. It's $8,300 a month. I mean, especially when you provide a service that people need, it's very, very easy. So this is something that I need to grasp onto. When I got good at the bike, and I always go back to the bike, I always draw messages, I always draw inspiration from the motorcycle. When I got good at the bike, what was I doing? The bike and the bike only. I stopped drinking, literally stopped drinking, smoking weed, doing all these things because of the bike. Why? If I want this thing, what are other people not doing? Other people are drinking and smoking. They don't show up to the lot till noon, 1 p.m. Guess what? I'm going to be there at 8. Committed. If I'm going to be there at 8, I want to feel good in the morning. Better not drink the night before. All these things started to add up, and it just became easy. When you have and you are committed to a goal, you are on this side of the fence. You are on the good side. You're not on the fence. You're not on the other side. You are on this side. You're committed. You're not lukewarm. You're all in. All these things start to fall into place. There's this idea about energy. It's not created nor destroyed, okay? So to me, what that means is when you want something out of your life, you just put something else in its place. So when I was first started riding, I was still like in this degeneracy age, and all I did was put riding into the places where I would have been doing these other things. And it wasn't hard. It wasn't like I had a pull where I was like, man, I really want to go out with the boys and do all this bullshit. Like, it was very simple. I wanted to ride. I wanted to be good. Okay, well, I'll ride Friday night because I know most people aren't riding Friday night. I'm going to get up and ride again Saturday morning, and I'm going to be there before everybody else because everybody's going to be drunk, from the night before, probably still drunk from the night before, hungover, high, smoking in the morning, got to get breakfast burritos, slow, sluggish, doing all this other bullshit. I'm already out here like a pro athlete, getting it in early, already having a full session before anybody even shows up. Committed, not lukewarm. I'm committed. I'm not dabbling. I'm all in on this thing. So I saw results in that. And so you can be fully committed, not lukewarm with your actions. And then the last thing I'm going to touch on is to be fully committed, not lukewarm with your mindset. And I'm going to talk about a situation that I don't know if you guys saw on my Instagram a couple years ago. The last couple of years have been minding my business. I don't talk shit to anybody. I leave everybody alone. I don't put my 2 cents in here. I just don't believe in that anymore. When I was younger, I had no problem, giving out the smoke. I like to run my mouth a little bit, but ever since, COVID, having a family, I've kind of chilled out. And there's this kid, and I'm not going to give him too much a spotlight here because that would be the greatest thing that could ever happen to his stunt career was for me to talk about him because his riding doesn't talk about him. He was running his mouth. I challenged him to a competition. I'll put the title of my bike up. You put the title of your bike up and we'll settle this because I don't like this whole talking thing. It's either fighting or we're going to ride it out. And we're stunt riders. We're not UFC fighters. Let's just ride and see who's better and you can stop running your mouth. And obviously the kid didn't show up. I knew that was going to happen, right? Made this whole fiasco on the internet and then literally didn't show up. And people don't understand why. I do understand why. I know that it's not about riding, and not a lot of people are going to get this idea, but it's not about riding. Very few people are going to go to the places mentally that you have to go to unlock the level of riding that I achieved. I don't think that I'm any more talented than anybody else. And in fact, again, like you guys saw in the last video, we talked about my first wheelies and I showed all that. It took me longer than anybody I know to learn how to wheelie. Longer than anybody I know. So if it's not about talent, what's it about? Commitment. Mental commitment. Belief. How far are you willing to go? There's a quote in a movie I like. It's called Lawless. And he says, it's not the violence that separates men. It's the distance that he's willing to go. And I heard that a long time ago, and it stuck with me forever. It's not the skill set. It's not the wheelies. It's not the money. It's the distance you are willing to go for what you want. And I was willing to go to death for the bike. That's how I got there. And again, I don't think I'm better than anybody else. I just think that mentally, I was more committed than anybody else that I came in contact with. I'm willing to die for this. You can't be better than me. Maybe you're better than me right now. Maybe your skills, maybe your wheelies, maybe your sponsors, maybe the money you have coming in is showing right now that you're better than me. But when I'm committed, I promise you, I will die for this. There's no way you can be better than me because I'm willing to go to the death. And that attitude right there is where things really changed for me and where I turned up like crazy after my accident. The level of commitment that I got to and the journey that I went on the bike is literally inspiration to me today because I don't have something right now. And I know a lot of people don't have something right now that they're willing to go that far for. But that's really what it takes to get what you want out of this life. And to wrap this up, you guys, listen. Stop being lukewarm. Commit to something. Get on that side of the fence. And at least you can say that you tried. I mean, I just don't believe that if you give everything you have, and I mean, I'm willing to die for this, that you won't achieve it. I just don't believe that. And a lot of people, again, most average people will say, you're too extreme, you're doing too much. But listen, what if all the effort that you put in doesn't work? And there's a little bit left in the tank, right? You're working hard at it, but you're not giving everything you have. And then you go through your whole life and it doesn't work out. You get to your last moment and you're like, damn, I tried, but I know that there was more in me that I could have gave. That will be your biggest regret. Your biggest regret won't be that I gave everything I have to this. I gave my whole entire life. I'm willing to die for it, and it doesn't work out. Your biggest regret will be when you get to the end of your life and there's a little bit left in the tank and you got to die with that.